Welcome to Gutter Trash, episode 386, Green Arrow. My name is Eric.
Hi, I'm Jason.
This, I guess, Green Arrow Volume 1?
It's the first solo series, right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So what year was this character created? Like 60s?
Green Arrow?
Yeah.
Like 40s.
40s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. And, this is from the 80s, though.
Yes, it is.
This is like a full generation of people later.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
crazy.
Yeah. So, Green Arrow started out as pretty much a straight-up Batman ripoff.
And it was Kirby, right?
Not initially, but
Okay.
Kirby did do a lot of Green Arrow stuff in the, I believe, 50s?
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, he had an arrow cave and an aeroplane.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I bet.
And he was a millionaire, and he had a boy sidekick.
Really?
Yeah, Speedy.
I didn't know he was a million. Oh, yeah, I guess he was, rich. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was rich.
Which, it's weird that you didn't know that, because that is an incredibly important part of this book.
Well, yeah.
The fact that he was rich.
But this is a different Green Arrow, right?
It's the same guy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oliver Queen?
Oliver Queen.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, origin changed slightly here and there, but, same guy.
So, I don't know if I've ever read a Green Arrow comic.
Really?
Before this. Like, I've read, some 80s DC books that had him in it. Probably
Sure.
like Justice League or World's Finest or something. But
Right.
Brave and the Bold, maybe. But, yeah. I don't know if I've ever read his own book.
Yeah. Not even the Kevin Smith run from 2000-ish.
No. Not even.
Not as much of a Kevin Smith fan as you are.
I like Kevin Smith, actually. I've only ever read his Daredevil comics, and I didn't really like those.
Because they were bad.
But
Because he's not a good comic creator. He's a very bad comic book writer. He's not even that great of a filmmaker.
I like his
These are
movies.
my hot takes on Kevin Smith.
I like his movies, but yeah.
I like 3 of his movies.
Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially number 3.
But yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it is a Golden Age character.
Yep.
Did he ever cease being public? Because I honestly don't know was he published like all the time, or was there like a 60s era where he was not published?
I mean, he joined the Justice League at some point, so he was part of that team. And
He wasn't in like the Brave and the Bold where they fought Starro and all that.
no, he joined later.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was not I think he was like the first new recruit of the
Okay.
Justice League, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he never had his own solo title. He was always in like Adventure Comics or something like that.
Yeah, Brave and the Bold maybe.
I'm sure he probably appeared in Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Brave and the Bold was mostly a Batman team-up title
Yeah.
back in the day.
Mhm.
Although there
Was he the Bold or was he the Brave?
Batman?
Yeah.
I believe he was the Bold.
Okay.
And the Brave was anyone who had the guts to team up with Batman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Although, ironically, Green Arrow made numerous appearances on the Brave and the Bold cartoon.
Yeah.
And there was a Brave and the Bold miniseries from the 80s featuring Green Arrow, The Question, and Scalp Hunter?
Oh. Yeah.
That was in the Let's Make Everything Dark and Gritty days. And Scalp Hunter.
Yeah, I remember Scalp Hunter, but he was.
I don't.
He was.
I even own that series.
We've got some older comics that have him in it.
Okay.
Like, probably like early 70s or something. But at my work, not in my collection.
No, of course not. Because you've already mentioned you don't like Green Arrow.
I didn't say I didn't like him. I actually quite enjoyed his character in this series.
Yeah.
Like he was pretty interesting dude.
I am a long-time Green Arrow fan. And I think I've only recently figured out why. Because, I mean, for some reason, I do have a fascination with, like, characters who use bow and arrow.
Right.
Like, I love Hawkeye from Marvel, Shaft from Youngblood,
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, or any other version of Robin Hood we can think of.
All right.
I do enjoy them all. Arrow from The Protectors.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes, that is a comic that I own. And I really got into Green Arrow when I started reading, like some of the Mike Grell stuff, like Longbow Hunters and the Volume 2 of Green Arrow, the ongoing series. But recently I've been very nostalgic for, some of the first comics that I ever owned.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that.
And, two of the oldest comics, or two of the comics that I've owned for the longest amount of time, like from when I was a kid,
Right.
that I still have
Same copies.
same copies, because my mom threw away a lot of shit as I was growing up, but somehow I managed to grab onto those two books. And they are Detective Comics number 528 and Detective Comics number 530. And Green Arrow had recently started appearing in backups in those comics.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I had always had those Green Arrow comics. And I think that was probably when, that just sort of made an imprint on me.
Right.
Like not as fast as Batman did,
Right.
but like definitely a subtle imprint.
Right.
Yeah.
You just remember him. He was always there.
Right. Yeah.
But what happened to 529? Skipped it?
I don't know. I literally only just purchased that like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Did you read it? Huh?
Was it good?
I haven't read it.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't read comics. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a pure old pastime.
So, in the height of my Green Arrow is awesome collecting days back in probably the 90s or whatever, I wound up buying this miniseries.
From 1983.
1983. So, pretty close around the time when I had those detective issues.
Right.
Actually, I think this is after? Yeah, it is. Or before, I'm sorry. So this came out before those comics.
Huh.
So I guess he went from this to being a backup in
Yeah.
Detective.
So they were like, let's give him a miniseries, and then,
Right.
not an ongoing.
Right, yeah.
Not quite.
Not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Which is too bad, because I really enjoyed this series.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool. Mike Barr.
Yep.
Trevor Von Eden and Dick Giordano.
Yep.
Yeah, good crew.
Very good crew.
It's a solid bullpen.
I would just like to say that Trevor Von Eden is vastly underrated as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He is fucking amazing.
He does have one too many E's in his last name.
He does have an excessive amount of E's in
There's
his
3 of them in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was playing Wheel of Fortune and you bought an E and the answer was Trevor Von Eden, you'd be doing well.
Yeah.
You get your money's worth. I mean, if the word Trevor's in there, you got 4
Right
there.
Yeah. But yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's real good.
Yeah.
What else has he done? Because I know the name, but...
He is the co-creator of Black Lightning.
Okay.
Or, as it's, I believe, credited in the television program, the creator of Black Lightning is Tony Isabella with Trevor Von Eden.
Oh, yeah. He just drew the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got kind of like... It's real stylistic. It's like Bill Sienkiewicz, only not as kooky.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a little bit of Simonson or something. I don't know. He's got, it's real expressive.
He plays around with shapes a lot and shadows, and he's just amazing at framing things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great layouts on every
Right.
page, every splash page.
And then So when I started reading this, I saw the splash page on page 3 of the first issue. And I was like, I wonder what the original to that looks like. And it is stunning.
Oh, you found the original?
Yes.
Was it here in the office?
Yes. I just had to look up in my files.
Yeah.
Everything's such a clutter.
Yeah. So the page we're looking at here is it's like a splash page of Green Arrow, like kind of in shock and surprise because he's just seen something. Or no, he's illuminated from behind.
Yeah.
He's not shocked or surprised. He's shocking and surprising others.
That is exactly what he is doing.
And it's really cool because there's like this crazy light illumination kind of going from behind and a lot of shadows.
A lot of shadows, lots of just great line work and detail.
It is weird though. I did notice when I read this page, it's funny that you took away a positive thing and I took away a negative thing.
Oh.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, because there's like...
Because you thought he was shocked.
No, because there's that big, giant, awesome image, and then there's like an inset panel, and on one of the images, Green Arrow has no eyeballs, on the other one he does, and that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, why does he look so different? And it took me a second I was like, why does he look like a different guy? Because at first I thought this inset panel was somebody else's face.
Right.
Because he has a completely different expression and eyeballs. So I was confused for a second.
Well, fair, I guess. I think that happens throughout, though. Just he loses eyeballs,
gains eyeballs.
Kind of the shape of the mask changes. Trevor Von Eden don't get fucked.
Yeah, he's just doing it. He's like, on this panel, it looks like he would be cool without eyeballs. Fuck you, I'm Trevor Von Eden. I got 4 E's in my name.
Goddamn right. Yeah. I wonder if he's doing anything anymore.
I don't know, because I recognize the name, but I honestly couldn't place him. But I was like, I feel like I've seen something that he's done or read something over the years, but I haven't looked him up to see what else he may have done that I've read. But yeah, he's real solid.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, so obviously I've read this book before, and it's probably been 20 years, whatever. Maybe longer, 25. I'd say probably closer to 25.
Wow.
And I've been wanting to reread this for a while, and I remember enjoying it back then. And I still really did enjoy it this time around too. But I think the art this time around was the real winner for me.
Like maybe when you were younger, you were just kind of like reading it as a story, but now, over the years, seeing all this art, you're appreciating the level of skill involved.
Exactly, I think, yeah. I mean, because even back then, I was into comic arts, but, 25 years ago, 15 years old, I would definitely say this was not exactly the type of art that would just appeal to me.
Yeah, it's not super flashy.
Right.
But
he is doing a lot of flashy stuff in there.
It's subtle flashy, though.
Yeah.
It's like designy flashy. Not really like, there's not like giant bombastic fight scene panels or whatever.
I mean, so I definitely appreciate the artistry of it, more now than I did back then. But, I still enjoyed it back then. I just, I was still really into, like, Rob Liefeld and stuff back then.
Oh, can you imagine how great this would have been if Liefeld was on it? So much better. He's only got 1 E in his name.
That's true. 2.
Well, yeah, but the other one's hidden behind a cloud of smoke. You can't see it. There's a giant pouch on top of it. But this is great. It really is. It really is beautiful. I'm just flipping through it right now. And there's like every page. I'm like, wow, that would be a great piece of original art, like just on your wall.
Right. I wonder how expensive a piece of Trevor Von Eden art would be.
I know, right? It seems like he's not really, he's not like Jim Lee or somebody who everybody's talking about all the time.
Right. I mean, hey, anybody out there, you want to find me a piece of original art from this Green Arrow series? I would gladly accept it.
You'll take it?
Yeah, gladly.
Free of charge.
Take it right off your hands. Yes.
So what's the story about?
So, it's a mystery.
I love a good
Because
mystery.
I don't know.
You didn't read it. You were looking at all the art. So Oliver Queen. So I didn't know the origin of Oliver Queen as he became Green Arrow, and then I read this and I was like, oh, that's interesting. He was like supposedly like not even like a fit athletic dude at all, even though he looked like a totally fit athletic dude.
Sure.
And he gets like washed up on an island, like Castaway style.
Yeah.
And he befriends this volleyball named Speedy.
Who gets addicted to
Who
heroin?
gets addicted to it's a terrible disease. Even volleyballs are getting it. No, so he gets stranded on this island, and what's he do?
Well, basically, he has to learn archery in order to survive.
Oh yeah, because that's probably a good reason to learn archery.
Yeah.
If you're trapped on an island, you want to stab some animals, and
Right.
fish.
Yep. Then he eventually gets rescued. And they've changed his origin over the years, but basically it starts out with, rich playboy getting washed up on an island, learning to survive, and then eventually, like, drug dealers, get involved or whatever.
Sell heroin to Speedy.
Right, yeah. Or if you watch the television program Arrow, he's actually only on the island for like 6 months, and then he like travels the world and basically is a Green Arrow like in Russia.
Oh, okay. That show is so bad.
It's not good.
I forgot, honestly. Like, it didn't even enter my
it's the same
mind that it's the same character. Yeah. Because that show, I've only seen like 4 episodes ever, and they were just excruciating, all 4 of them. Like, I was like, how can we watch this? This is bad.
It's not great. I watch it every week.
Wow, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's bad.
It's
so bad.
super not good.
Yeah.
But, boy, I can't stop.
Wow. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game.
I will say this. Occasionally it'll cross over with The Flash, and
It's a little
becomes super good.
See, I watched The Flash a few years ago. I watched the whole season, and Arrow showed up for some of those, and I was like, oh, great.
Right.
Like, every episode that he was on, I was like, oh, jeez. It's just a bummer.
Yeah, he is. He's just a real bummer. And, yeah, to be fair, like, both versions of the character just have so little in common with each other.
Oh, yeah, it's
outside
so
of just
different.
the name.
So different, yeah. Like, I forgot that it was the same character.
And even though the show takes more from, like, the Mike Grell sort of take of Green Arrow, even that is still just so different.
It's really diminished.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a mystery because a very rich lady passed away that's friends with Mr. Oliver Queen.
Yep.
And
Ollie, to his friend.
Ollie. And so he shows up to the will reading, and surprisingly, she leaves him some stuff.
Pretty much like most of her money and the company that she and her husband ran.
Much to the disappointment of the remaining family members that are there.
Yep. And, well, it turns out that the old lady possibly was murdered. And Ollie begins to suspect that most likely one of the family members did it.
Right. Yeah.
And so he then has to figure out what happens, and in order to do that, he even though he used to be rich and he no longer is, he's discovered that he prefers life without money, and so he has to give in and take all this money again and be rich again.
And he's got some
What
real,
a dilemma!
He's real first world problems there. I can't sit down with all this money in my wallet. Oh.
It is a very, very white privilege
Right.
sort of character.
Abigail Horton, that's her name.
I believe so.
So he inherits Tim Horton's restaurant. There's her husband Tim, who passed away.
They're basically what it is the family they're trying to figure out the secret of Timbits.
Right? Like someone out there was murdering people for the recipe, and Ollie has to figure out what it is.
Exactly. No, that's not it. Eventually we learned that the whole mystery revolves around basically oil conglomerates.
What?
Which is, of course, completely ridiculous fiction. That an oil company would just be underhanded and
Right? And like causing murders.
Right, yeah.
It's so out there. I was thinking.
Who out there?
What's that oil company in the Marvel universe?
Roxxon?
Roxxon. Yeah, Neil, I had never heard of that, and Neil was just telling me about that at the last comic show, and how like they were like figuring into some stories now. And
Yeah.
Roxxon.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a great name.
Because it's like Exxon, but
What?
it's Roxxon.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, and then so he gets on the trail of the murder. He's finding things out and
Uncovering a vast conspiracy, and winds up running into a supervillain
yeah, which was super cool. I
yeah.
really enjoyed that.
who back. So again, read this 25 years ago. Reading it now.
Different experience.
Different experience because I totally thought Count Vertigo was in pretty much the entire series and like he had a major role to play.
Right.
He's in one issue.
Yeah, but in some really sweet panels.
Oh
Some
yeah,
really
no, it's
trippy,
fantastic.
It's like really psychedelic. Psychedelic panels because
Yeah.
he gives Green Arrow vertigo.
Yeah.
And not only is he dizzy, but he's kind of seeing like hallucinations.
So I mean, obviously, they made quite an impact with the character that I thought.
Yeah,
That he was in so much of it that, again, he was really only in issue 2.
and it was like 8 pages maybe.
Right, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Like to the point where I was like, well, Count Vertigo, he's a Green Arrow villain.
Yeah.
He's like his arch nemesis.
I guess this is in the beginning of issue 3.
Sure, yeah. Like even to the point when, again, the Arrow television program introduced a Count Vertigo.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I
like,
was
well, naturally.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's like having the Joker on Gotham.
Yeah.
Oh, this is something too about this series. So it's a 4-issue series.
Yeah.
And every issue, they go back through the entire plot that you may have missed if you didn't read the first issue.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? Like, really?
Every issue is somebody's first.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, like, there's like an entire page that recaps, and it's not like a subtle recapping too. It's like, okay, readers, here's the entire story so far, and it's like in the story. It's not like in a little prologue or something.
I mean, you also gotta kind of give him props for being able to do that within one page.
Well, it makes you realize it should have just been a one shot with issue 4. All he needs is issue 4, and you have the whole story. So for a time crunch, next time, just read the 4th issue. Next time I read a miniseries, I'm just going to read the last issue. Like, hey, if you can't sum it up and get me all what I need in issue 6, then fuck you, Jeff Lemire.
So comics 35 years ago were different.
They were different, yeah. I would say, not necessarily always worse or better, just different.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know I have actually kind of appreciated that because if I would have been reading this book monthly as someone my age, I do forget things a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
Like, I kind of wish they did do that more often now. But I actually read all 4 of these in one, not sitting, because I was actually laying on the couch with a cat asleep on my belly while I read every issue. It was awesome.
It sounds awesome.
So I read them all
I read
back to
them all
back to
in
back.
a fucking hotel office.
Aw.
But yeah, reading them back to back now, you can point to those pages like, well, that's excessive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If it was monthly, I would have been like, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Please more. Do that more often.
right?
Like, I read Paper Girls, and that book is just, there's so much going on in there. sometimes I pick up an issue and I'm like one comes out next week and it's been like 3 months since there's been an issue.
Right.
So I'm going to be like, what now? I can't remember.
That's why I only read that book in trades.
That's a good trade read, but yeah, I like reading it as it comes out.
Speaking of trades, this book has never been collected.
Ever? You collected all.
Well, sure. But I'm the only one. Not even Trevor Von Eden did.
Well, he doesn't have room for it in his house because there's just too many. And he's like, I got no room for this shit. I got E's in there.
Oh, God, we're idiots. Yeah, so, and we do keep talking a lot about Trevor Von Eden and his letters, but, Mike W. Barr does a pretty good job with this, too.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's really well paced and everything.
No, he is no, that's Mike Barron I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Oh, the Badger guy?
Nexus, but
Oh, yeah.
he also, I guess, did Badger, too. Yeah, he's also super conservative now, too.
Oh, Barrs.
Barron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which, I was getting them confused. I thought that Barr was Barron.
Right.
And that he was super conservative, but writing Green Arrow 40 years ago, who was a super liberal.
Oh, right. That
Yeah.
would have been weird.
Yeah. But,
Different guy.
different guy.
Mike,
That. I don't know what Mike Barr is doing lately.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I know he had a run on Detective for a while. He did a year or two with Alan Davis and Todd McFarlane.
Oh, yeah, but that was like late
Yeah,
80s.
it was a long time.
Yeah, it was long. That was good, though.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. So if I had to say anything negative about this book, because I'm usually not a negative guy, but if I notice something negative, I will point it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very slight and very nitpicky, but there was more than one time in this book where I read the word balloons out of order, because they were presented in a way that you would naturally read them out of order.
Yes, that did happen quite a few times. I agree with you entirely there.
And whose fault is that? Is that like back then, was that like, because I know now they kind of digitally put in the letters, but back then it was kind of like there in the artwork usually.
Right.
Like they drew the word balloons in.
I would.
And sometimes they pasted them in, but
Well, sure, but I would still say that it was post the artwork, or at least post pencils. So I don't know. As much as we've been praising him, I would have to actually blame Trevor Von Eden.
it could have been him. Yeah.
Yeah, for just there are a couple of layouts where it's just confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, like his layouts look great, but there's a couple times where maybe the story gets kind of bogged down for a second.
Right.
Because of the way it's laid out.
Yeah.
But that's like a nitpicky thing, because like even like after like 1 second, I'm like, oh, okay, it was that balloon goes first.
Yeah,
even though it's lower on the page or whatever. But
You're all right though. It does happen a few times, and it is irritating when it happened, but not enough to like make me hate everything. But,
it didn't ruin anything. It just kind of broke the pace of the read,
right.
which is not ideal. But yeah, I'm looking at them now. There's just some great looking pages in there.
Okay. So Mike Barr also wrote Camelot 3000.
Oh yeah, Camelot.
He's written pretty much fucking everything.
Really?
He did a lot of Malibu and Ultraverse stuff.
Huh. Okay.
Mostly Mantra, it looks like. Quite a bit of some Marvel books. Mostly just short stuff, though. DC seems to be his primary home.
Yeah.
A bunch of Outsiders throughout the 90s, even. And even a couple things in the 2000s.
Yeah, I've never really followed his career. Like, I'm sure I've read some of his Batman then, because I've read just a million Batman comics. But
Read Year 2, right?
yeah.
What was that one? Full Circle, the Reaper.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So yeah, he's done some stuff.
He's been around.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't want to spoil the ending.
No.
No.
Yeah.
But the mystery is solved.
The mystery is solved. Yeah. Green Arrow does some Green Arrow-y stuff.
Yeah, a lot of archery.
Yeah.
He shoots that arrow.
Black Canary, of course, shows up because you can't have a Green Arrow comic without Black
Right.
Canary.
I always forget that her disguise is that she's actually a brunette. And she wears that's so much better than just, it's like the Clark Kent glasses for women, you know? It's like, oh, it's a different hair. Because I know when I come home and my wife's dyed her hair, I'm like, who are you? What are you doing in the house? And she has to, calm me down by putting her old school wig on. She keeps a wig that looks like whatever her previous haircut was.
The hair that you met her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, it's you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's in there. Anybody else in there? Kind of trying to remember. There's no Batman or Superman.
Batman gets name checked once or twice, but
Do they really?
yeah.
I don't remember that.
Well, Batman does, just because all he has to figure out a mystery, but he's no detective.
Oh, that's right. I do remember
Yeah.
that. I thought you meant they were like, hey, maybe we can call Batman.
No. This is pretty much Ollie Solo doing his thing. It's a real solid comic. It's fun. It's but still takes itself seriously. And it's you read this and you wonder how the fuck they could turn this into a show like Arrow.
Right, I agree. Yeah, that is so different.
He's got his classic costume with the Robin Hood hat.
Oh, and that pointy goatee.
Pointy goatee, yeah. The Neil Adams designed costume.
Yeah.
Neil Adams was good once.
Oh, he was great. Yeah, I think he was great. A lot of people kind of lose a little of their gusto over the years, and I think he's one of them. But you know what? He's done so much great stuff. It's kind of hard to make fun of him now because you're just it's not as good as what he used to do. But man, what he used to do was great.
Well, I would never make fun of him for his art now. Again, like you said, it's not as good, but that's
Still,
it's still solid,
serviceable. Yeah.
Yeah, and then certainly not the thing to make fun of Neil Adams for.
He's got other things you can make fun of.
Exactly. Do some research.
Yeah, Google him.
So, one aspect that I actually really love about reading old comics is the ads.
The ads are great. Yep. Lots of toys and candy and
Yep. Video games.
Oh,
Back when video games were just dots on screens.
And there's a game called The Predator. I've never heard of it, but
there's on the back cover maybe.
I think there's an ad for this game in every issue. In a different
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a BMX Oh no, it's not a game. It's BMX accessories. I thought it was like a Space Invaders style game.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
I don't fault you for thinking that.
There's not even a wheel on this ad.
Nope.
Let alone a bike. It's like a picture of a monster in outer space, and it says Predator.
Yep.
And it's for bike accessories. And it's a full page ad. It's not like they had a quarter of a page in there. Well, put something eye-catching. They had an entire page of a comic, and there's not even the wheel of a bicycle in this ad.
Yep.
I've read this ad 4 different times, and I thought it was for a video game.
You said it, and I totally believed it, because
that's obviously not for a bike.
Nope.
It's a Schwinn bicycle thing.
Honestly, because you just turned to the page where the ad was, and as you're describing the video game that it is, I'm sitting here reading the headline of it that says high-tech BMX accessories, and I still believed you that it was a video game.
Right? It totally looks like one. But yeah, now they're it's like Axe body spray and
Honda.
Cars and get your taxes done.
They still do video games, but they're PS4 games.
Right. Yeah, the old ads are so much better.
Oh, yeah.
TSR. There's a lot of TSR.
This Star Frontiers one,
And
I saw that and just was taken back 40
Oh,
years.
it's great. Yeah.
Well, 35 years. Because 40 years ago I was a baby.
You weren't born yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool experience to go back and reread some of the stuff in like
Oh, yeah.
original form and like the newsprint paper and the old ass ads.
Like, I would love to see this, like, you know, in a more sturdy edition, but, you
Right.
know, it's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little faded.
Right.
Of course, if they did reprint it, it would be on glossy paper. And that would
Yeah,
ruin it.
I know. Like, there's something about this like kind of matte look to in this soft color that they had that's just hard to beat.
I wish more reprints were on matte paper.
Oh, that'd be great.
Glossy can go fuck itself.
I know. You don't like glossy paper,
I don't either. There's a glare. You can't read it
right?
everywhere.
Oh, it's shiny.
Digitally, I'm fine with, but, you know, glossy, I can't do.
Mm.
Glossy paper is inferior to a glossy screen.
Yeah, it's true. I don't even like reading digitally, but I'd probably rather do
That means.
right. Well, I've got
You
a
have a
phone.
phone,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a phone.
Reading comics on the phone,
I
man,
know,
it's
right?
awful.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I am a proponent of digital comics, but phone reading is terrible.
I'd rather have someone call me on a rotary phone and describe each panel than actually have to read it on my phone. I would.
And there's an old school letters column.
Oh,
in
it's
here.
great. Yeah, I always look to see if there's a...
Anyone you recognize?
Yeah, I didn't see anything in here. Yeah. I mean, there's a Rick Pope, maybe.
Turn the page to the inside back cover there.
Oh, that's great.
I got to that and I took a picture of it and sent it to our friend Matt Brassfield and said, "Which one of these do you have?"
And he said, the Wolfman?
Oh! You've seen it then.
No, I was just a guess. There's a monogram models incorporated ad on the back where they have Frankenstein, Mummy, Dracula, and Wolfman model kits. I love these ads.
They're
They're so
amazing.
good.
Yeah, and I wanted those so bad when I was a kid, but never had one.
Oh. Yeah, maybe not. Look them up on eBay. Maybe you can
If
find
anybody wants to buy me one of those along with the Trevor Von Eaton original art page, I will gladly
Cool.
take that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
full page Tron Atari ad on the back of issue 4. Oh, it's so nice.
Welcome to Nostalgia the Podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that thing we like? Here it is.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? That's
Nothing.
great.
But no, yeah, so not collected, but it is, I believe, available digitally.
And you can probably find them in like cheap back issue bins.
Most likely.
Because I don't think this is like a sought after series.
Not really. Sadly
it's
enough.
not the first appearance of Count Vertigo, is it?
No, it's not the first appearance. Well, I guess maybe it's the first appearance of Abigail Horton.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But, yeah. No one cares about that.
Not one tiny Timbit.
Nope. It's definitely not the first appearance of Green Arrow. So it's an overlooked little classic, I think. I think it's definitely well worth a read. If Comixology is having a Green Arrow sale, try to find them.
Yeah.
Because they're good.
Yep.
And again, probably pick them up in a dollar bin somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Although I've honestly never seen these other than, but then again, it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I own this.
So
why
you
would I
don't
use
really look for
Yeah.
it, right? I know we've had a couple of them. Like we had this number 1 on our number 1 wall for a little bit, and we occasionally see them. But honestly, like I probably wouldn't even buy them if somebody brought them in, unless it was all 4 of them, or if it was just number 1, because
Right.
it's like that's probably all we would ever sell is the whole thing or number 1.
Right. I get that too. Sadly.
You know.
But you know what? I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was very good. It was a good classic superhero story.
Yeah.
Back when like superhero stories didn't like bother me.
Right.
Like, because now they're just so, like, political and, like, decompressed.
So,
and, like,
wait a minute. Are you a comic skater? Keep politics out of comics? Is that what you're saying?
I just want a bunch of old white people Like, just jerking each other off. Build that wall. No, I don't like how serious superhero books have become. Like, I'll read, like, Squirrel Girl or, Silver Surfer was great, and, like, there's an occasional Marvel or DC superhero book that I actually really enjoy.
Sure.
But for the most part, I'd say 90% of what they publish, I'm just like, even there are some fun ones, like I'm sure, like, Miss Marvel's fun. Like, I read the first trade and I thought it was alright, but, like, it wasn't as, like, absurd as I like. I like it to be a kind of absurd. But for some reason, back in the 70s and early 80s, they weren't really absurd, but they just had, like, a different tone to them, and I enjoy that a lot more.
I mostly agree. And even, there are still some good, serious superhero books, but for the most part, there's not.
Like, even when we recently read Batman White Knight,
Yeah.
like, even that, like, I like the artwork 1,000,000 times more than the story, because the story had a couple fun elements, like, with the 2 Harley Quinns and stuff like that, but, and, like, all the Batmobiles, but other than that kind of stuff, it was a little dry for me, like, and this didn't really have that.
Right.
It kind of still had, like, maybe it was, like, the mystery elements to it. Like, I like a good mystery, too.
Sure.
So this was a cool read.
Yeah. So, hunt it down, find it. It's well worth a read. It's should be better represented in the canon of Green Arrow.
And honestly, seriously, like, a joking aside about Trevor Von Eden, like, it is weird that he's not mentioned often enough in the same circle as, like, people like Walt Simonson and some of those guys. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
like he is super solid and super talented.
Do you think it's a longevity thing? Because, Walt Simonson is still producing.
That could be, but even, I don't know, like, even in the early 90s, like, I knew who Walt Simonson was, and I didn't know who Trevor Von Eden was, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. He definitely should be, mentioned more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. He should be in the Wizard top 20 artists or whatever. Top 10 artists. No,
Maybe he was back in 1983.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, Green Arrow.
Yeah, solid thing. Check it out.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
Room in the east invested with meanings, open to none but the strange and the wild. Sunset encounters with destiny's chances, envelopes marked for the personal life, night falling hiding the poet's transgression, blown in the winds of Aquarian tides, echoed words spoken by token romantics, rock and roll Superman, ghosts of new vice, rock and roll Superman, ghosts of new vice, making love in strange autos while splicing things always that love is swift arrows, my dear. Oh God, in some heaven whose number is 17, dressed you in blue jeans this year to torment my soul. Oh, leave me alone. Rules to be broken by reckless and young men, oaths to be written by passion's sick hand, seeds to be sown on the rich fields of promise, ends and beginnings that never quite meet, nothing of value that hasn't yet vanished, brown-eyed and wise is the feminine face, evening sweet menace revealing inviting, highways to paradise, grey lines of grace, highways to paradise, grey lines of grace, making love in sleek or torment my soul. Oh, leave me alone. Oh, leave me alone. Oh, leave me alone. Oh, leave me alone.
Welcome back to Culture.
Hey. Speaking of overtly serious superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck is Heroes in Crisis about?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never read it, and I have read the little blurbs, like when I order it, because I order that one. All I remember is like there's like a murder in a superhero safe place, like a superhero hospital or something.
Sort of, yeah. It's called The Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary.
And I've read 6 issues of it, now, and I don't get the fucking point of it.
Yeah.
And it just,
Is it like a fever dream, or is it like it goes nowhere?
it's going nowhere.
Mm.
Like, there are moments where it's okay, but, like, it's mostly just seeming like a mishmash of just dour crap.
Oh. That's unfortunate. Who
And,
draws that?
I don't think there's any one artist.
Because Tom King writes it?
Tom King writes it. I think Clay Mann did a few issues of it. I think Mitch Gerards did a few issues.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Gerards. There's no second R.
Huh.
I don't.
It's just bad.
It's just not good.
How many is it? Is it 8 issue thing?
9.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But, I mean, seriously, by issue 6, there should be at least kind of a picture of what the fuck it's about.
Right, that's you most of the way through.
Right, yeah. And, I don't. Like, there's.
You know who could save you from this conundrum?
Who could say that?
Batman. And he's right down the street, I think. So I texted you a photo Tuesday night. On Tuesdays, we worked late. I mean, late compared to the other days.
Sure.
Like, we get off at like 10 o'clock or 10:30. So I left my work, it was close to 10:30. And I was driving home, and this is, like, this is Dayton, Ohio, so 10:30, there's not really much happening on Tuesday night.
Yeah. Not in this area.
Not in this area, no.
Yeah.
So
It's also winter.
it is, it's, that's a good point for this story, too. So, I'm driving, and I'm, like, halfway home, and I get to the intersection, it's a major intersection.
Yeah.
But there's, like, nothing there. There's no, like
There's
that time
an
of night.
empty fire station and a closed CVS.
And a cornfield.
Yeah.
Those are the things at that intersection.
Yeah.
So I get to the stoplight, and I just, like, look over, and over there on, like, at the crosswalk is Batman. In full Batman head to toe gear. And no one else is around. Like, there's no people on any of the four corners. There's no car parked anywhere near Batman. It's just fucking Batman hanging out on a February night in the middle of a small town. And so,
Now, was he waiting for a bus? Because there is a bus stop near there.
I hope so. Because that would be awesome. Oh. And if he had his bicycle with him, he could ride the bus for free. Because you said it on the front. So, no, he's just standing there, and, like, he's waving as cars go by, because there's not a lot of cars. There's like me and 2 other cars. It's not like a line of traffic. And so, I see him waving at the cars as they go by that are, like, that have the green light. And I'm just like, what? And so, like, he looks over at me, and he waves, and I wave back. And then I roll down my window, and I'm like, hey, can I take your picture? And he goes, sure. In that exact voice. And then he poses, like he stares at me, and he kind of does like that little half crouch, and he puts both of his fists in there like a boxer in his fighting stance. And so I pull out my phone, and I just snap a couple photos, and then the light turns green like shortly thereafter, and I turn and like I wave at him again, and he waves again. And then he crosses the street, after I go through the intersection, he crosses behind me. So he's not, he wasn't, waiting in one spot for very long, at least.
So now that you've told me this story, why did you send me the blurriest fucking picture possible?
Well, it was nighttime, and that's the thing, there's no traffic, there's no, street light right above where he was at.
Yeah.
So it was kind of dark, and I was like, I'm gonna try to get a good one. I should have used the flash, but I don't want to.
Well, you don't want
He was in
crossover.
Keystone City, yeah. No, it was incredible. It was really cool.
Like, you sent me the picture, and, I knew what it was instantly, but, again, it was blurry.
It was dark.
And dark, and...
So you could tell.
But, I still had to question it. And I didn't want to believe that's what it was, and so my first instinct, outside of Batman, is, why is Jason just texting me a picture of a random dude? Am I supposed to recognize that guy? But then I went back to Batman again.
So you thought Batman when you first saw it?
Yes.
Because you can see the cape and you can see the pointy
Cow,
ears.
yeah. But, yeah, I saw Batman, and I was like, well, who is that? And I was like, well, it is Batman.
Yes.
And your text was like, I'm 2 blocks away from your house.
Yeah.
And I just took this. And I was like, what?
That can't be. There's no comic convention happening 2 blocks away from my house at 10:30 at night on a Tuesday. Where was he going? There's nothing around there.
I mean, there's some bars.
Well, yeah.
But that would not be a good answer for...
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, yeah, this is... I don't know. It was cool, though. And, we're laughing, and I'm not laughing at that guy. Because I fucking love that guy. I love that in the middle of fucking... It was 18 degrees or something. And he's out there by himself, dressed up like Batman. I love that.
It did remind me of the time that I saw Spider-Man hanging out at the liquor store.
Oh man, was that after the Sam Raimi movies came out? The third one.
It was 2 years ago.
Oh, wow!
I was eating lunch at a diner, and I saw him out there. And I ate lunch, so that took at least half an hour, maybe a little longer. And I left, and he was still out there. And
Outside the liquor store.
Outside the liquor store, which was right next to the diner. And then, so I drove to the Walgreens across the street. And I just watched him for a while. And then I took 7 pictures of him, because it's just a dude in a Spider-Man costume.
Yeah.
And it's...
Was he drinking from a
No.
bottle?
No. And so you took the picture of the guy in the Batman costume, but, it's Batman, so you can get away with, armor and, pants.
Right.
And so, even though it was winter, he seemed like maybe he could have been warm enough.
Yeah, I mean, you got the
That's-
cape.
It's padded.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man was just in a Spider-Man costume. Like, just spandexy balls and just hanging out at 4 in the afternoon in front of a liquor store for an hour.
Yep. What was he doing? Just standing there?
Yeah.
Was he on the phone or
Nope.
nothing? No.
Nope.
Just chilling.
Just hanging out in the parking lot there.
Wow.
That,
He didn't have a sign like, come into the liquor store.
nope.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Some might say spectacular.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
It's good to know he's out there.
Indeed. So, you were pointing to
This, the back of one of these comics, this Green Arrow comic, has a ad for another Atari video game, Lock and Chase.
yeah.
That was one of my absolute favorite games. And like when I saw it, I was like, oh, I love this. I was thinking in my mind, I love this game. And as I'm looking at the little like 2-inch by 2-inch square that actually shows you what the game looks like,
Right.
I remembered the sounds in that game. Like I could hear them in my head. Like whenever the doors lock and unlock. Oh my god. It's like a kind of sound like an arrow, like kind of like a green arrow.
Yeah.
Wizard. But oh man, I just loved that game. Like basically, and the great thing, the tagline is lock out the police and grab the gold before the police grab you. So it's like you're the villain and you're like running and trying to steal shit. Hide from the cops. It was a cool game.
They say that video games are bad influences on children.
Right. Not at all.
I mean, that's why you live a life of crime now.
Quite possibly.
I'd never played that game, but I saw this ad all the fucking time.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
a
Burger
fun game.
Time.
I love Burger Time.
Never played that either.
They have that at GK Effects over there. The
Oh, yeah.
arcade game, arcade
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never go there, so
It's a fun game.
I'm sure it is, but I'm not going to a bar to go play a game.
No. Okay, so I was going to tell you something that happened today that was, oh man, I would say it's kind of funny, but it was kind of depressing.
Okay.
So my wife is pregnant,
Sure.
and when I get home, sometimes she's like, all of a sudden like has a craving.
Sure.
And she's like, "Oh my god, can you go get me this?" Because like she's feeling kind of sick and doesn't want to leave herself, but then she's super hungry at the same time. So she was craving a very specific thing. She wanted some Wendy's food because she was craving Baconator fries and like a cheeseburger and a Frosty.
Alright.
And so I was like, "You got it." So I drove down the street to the Wendy's, and I pulled in, and there was like 8 or 10 cars in their drive-thru just wrapped around the whole building,
Sure.
and like no cars parked anywhere. So I was like, well, there's nobody inside unless they walked there, so I'm just gonna go in. And so I walk inside and I go over to the counter and I order Baconator fries, a junior bacon cheeseburger, and a small Frosty. And so the guy's like $6.17. And so,
Sounds about right.
yeah. Right?
Okay.
So I hand him $7, and he just like hits the button that cashes out, like just opens the register. He doesn't type in like what I'm paying with.
Right.
And then like as soon as he hits the cash out button, he goes, "Oh no." And I was like, "What's happening?" And he's like, it's $6.17. So I gave him the $7, and he's just like standing there holding the money, staring at the cash register. He's like, okay, because it doesn't say like, okay, how much change is coming back.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay. Go.
yeah, okay. And so like, I run a cash register usually 5 or 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and like shoot me. Okay, we're gonna play this game.
Okay.
Okay. No
Please
matter,
don't make me play.
no matter, no,
Okay.
no matter what change amount you say, just
Okay.
tell me, and I'll tell you how much change you get back from $1. Okay, I'm not trying to brag.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, this is my job also.
Right.
The same job that he has.
Yes.
Okay. So shoot me any number that's less than $1.
42 cents.
So you get back 58 cents.
Okay.
That took what? About a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Not bragging again. And the guy is like, 6.17. He's like, you gave me 7, right? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, he owes me 83 cents. So I'm just like sitting there, like staring, and he's like, oh. And he goes, hold on a second. And he like walks away, and he goes over and he gets the manager. This is the part where like I'm no longer like, oh, this is it's no longer funny. It's like actually sad because when the manager comes over, he's like, you're calling me over to ask me how much change. Like he's gonna get in so much trouble, right?
Oh, God.
So the manager comes over. So the manager walks over and he goes, what's the problem? He goes, well, it's 6.17 and he gave me $7. And the manager goes, well, just give him back, the change. And he's like, well, I'm trying to remember. And the manager's like, well, just give him back. Hold on a second. And so he walks away. He goes around the corner. And he comes back with his phone. On calculator mode. And he's punching it up. And he goes, give him back 83 cents. And I'm like trying not to laugh, but also I'm like, that's sad. It took 2 people. And a phone. And the cash register. To do what my brain did in 1 second. And I'm not that smart. Like, that's a key element to the story. I'm not a real smart guy. Like, I can't do a lot of math in my head. But that was crazy. And kind of funny, but kind of sad.
Yeah. So I did have to take a second myself. Like, I'm not good at math. Also,
Sure.
I don't deal with people's money on a regular
Right,
basis.
yeah, but me and that guy both do.
Well,
I mean, maybe he's new.
still.
Yeah.
To,
Oh.
like, it would... Like, I feel if it was me, it would have taken me a depressingly long amount of time to figure it out.
Like 5 seconds.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
10 seconds. But I still would have figured it out.
Right, sure.
I would not have needed to call my manager,
Right.
who should have not needed
Oh my god, right?
to also figure it out.
With a calculator.
Right.
It's from, yeah, it's not like he was like 6.17 and I gave him like 7.46 because I didn't want pennies back or something, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like from $1, it was like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel kind of bad even now, like, making fun of the guy, because maybe he's just not bright. But the situation became weird after he called the manager.
Oh, no, it was absolutely ridiculous at that point.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, it was absolutely ridiculous that the manager also couldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He had to go get his phone. Yeah. And I should say this, too. Like I mentioned, the drive-thru is pretty packed.
Right.
But when I went inside, there was no other humans in there. And the guy I was dealing with was just kind of just chilling behind the register. Like, he wasn't doing other stuff.
Right.
Like, it was like he was the front counter guy. And then, like... Oh, and I forgot about this part, too. This is good, too. So, I ordered my wife's small Frosty.
Sure.
And so, he sets it down on the counter. And, like, say the Frosty cup is, like, 5 inches tall.
Sure.
It's like...
That's pretty small.
It's like 7 inches tall because of the amount of Frosty that he put in there.
Sure.
It's like just pouring over the edge. It's
Right.
like a mountain of Frosty coming off the top. And I was like, oh, can I get a lid for that? because I thought maybe they had those like slushy type lids that are also tall. And then like he handed me just a regular flat lid,
Yeah.
and I was like,
That's what you get when you get frosting.
and I was like, this, I don't think this is gonna fit on there. And he's like, well, just eat some off the top. And I was like, well, this is actually not for me, so I'm like, I can't just like eat part of it. And he was like, and he like looked at it for a minute, and he just picked up the frosting and threw it in the garbage behind the counter. He's like, well, I'll just make you another one. And so he had to make me another frosty too because he made it way too tall.
Yeah. Not as amusing
Not as
as the change story. Still amusing.
it just made it. It just made the whole experience like more like I was like, what is happening here?
Is this is the Wendy's on Northfield?
On Woodman over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
over by the Goodwill outlet.
Yeah, it's both the Wendy's are by Goodwills.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not a great Wendy's. I mean, not that any Wendy's is great, but that's one of the lower end ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when I got home though, she said the meal was great.
That's good.
The Baconator fries were awesome.
Alrighty.
Frosty was delicious. Everything was good. So
Did-
they did a good job as
yeah.
far as the preparation.
Did you tell her the story?
Oh
Yeah.
She also thought it was sad. She's like, yeah, public schools, man.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about whether we're going to send our daughter to public school or
Right,
private
right.
school.
Public, because it's free.
Either
You can't afford.
I think they both have, you know. Well, right now we pay for half of the public school for the boys, or the private school for the boys. So,
But they're going to public, you said.
well, for
At
high
some
school,
point.
for high school,
For high school,
yeah.
Hey, I went to public school.
And you turned out all right,
I mean, it would take me a minute to figure out 83 cents,
right?
but I'd figure it out.
Figured out, yeah. No, I think the education was all right at the public school I went to. I mean, I don't feel like they really like nurtured a lot of people to go beyond their means or whatever. But I thought it was all right. I just didn't like it because it was kind of violent and strange. But
I didn't have that experience because I went to an all-white school.
oh, yikes! I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, I don't know, but
In retrospect, that was probably a terrible thing.
but the idea of the public school is like, you know, just who knows who's going to show up with whatever weapons or whatever. But the private school is also a little more religious than I would like. I mean, like the kids have to do, like even in like their English class, sometimes there's like biblical type things. I'm just like, yeah, I don't like that.
I prefer a separation between church and state.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Also, you know, I mean, I never went to a private school, so I can't say for sure, but, you know, I mean, I can't imagine that there's that much difference in the actual education.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You know, I'm sure teachers are still getting paid poorly in private schools.
Right.
Because, I mean, you know, they're run by somebody that has to dole that money out, and not just taxpayer money.
I don't really get necessarily the I don't know if maybe, like, I don't even know if this is what Liz thinks, but maybe the thinking is that if you can afford to pay for private school, maybe, you know, you're, you know, like spending more on your education and care more about the kids or something. I don't know. Because, like, me and her both went to public schools.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's not like we don't know what that's like, but at the same time, she's pretty not interested in sending her kids to public school. So I'd be fine with public school.
I think public school is perfectly fine. I think
Homeschooling is the one I would avoid, because even though that, like, there's some advantages to that, it creates a level of social awkwardness that even me or you probably
right.
don't have to deal with.
And we're super fucking socially awkward.
We are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, going back and relating to the Wendy's guy,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Maybe I should go back tomorrow and ask him what
Where
kind of
what school did you
go
go
to? And your manager, too.
because, I mean, you know, there is always the factor that you should always think of, is that maybe they're just fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
I mean, dumb people do exist in the world,
yeah.
and if you need proof,
I mean, we're two of them.
watch people.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, we're dumb. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
not, and
absolutely.
like, please don't think I'm saying, like, I'm not better than that guy, but I'm like, that's what he does,
Right.
like, all day, I'm guessing, you know. I don't, maybe it was his first day. He didn't say. Maybe it was his first day or something.
The dumb that you and I have, though, is like I said earlier, we're idiots.
Sure.
Like, we just... I think we play up our stupidity to... Hey, to make each other laugh.
Sure. But we embrace it.
Yeah. But I think, honestly, I think just I'm gonna assume, maybe I'm wrong, that these two Wendy's employees were youngish.
Yeah, I mean, the manager was older than the other guy, but
Right.
the other guy looked like he was probably around 20. Yeah,
Right.
and then the manager looked like he was probably close to my age, like late 30s, early 40s.
But I definitely do think that the generation behind us and subsequently, are just getting dumber and dumber.
But doesn't every generation say that, though, about their...
Yeah, but there's so much more proof.
Well, it's all on the internet now, yeah. There's video of everything.
And that is also true. Okay, so there's a podcast that I used to listen to when I had a job that I could listen to podcasts. And it's called Dumb People Time, where they would read news stories about people just doing dumb fucking shit.
Right, yeah.
And every episode they pose the question, like, are people getting dumber? And they would ask their guests, do you think people are getting dumber? Or is it that we just have so much more exposure to the dumb shit that people do
Oh, yeah.
that, like,
Anything that anyone does now is documented.
right,
And instantaneously, you know.
right. Except for this. This will come out like next week.
Right, yeah. I don't know. Like I was saying before, like that's the kind of story that makes me feel like, like laughing, but also kind of like crying.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's...
Like, I feel bad for that dude. Because he clearly, he either clearly is just, A, just bad at his job, or B, he, after that experience, he's probably like, oh man, I feel dumb, It's like, he couldn't have.
So I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just hearing your side of the story.
Right.
I would imagine that he did not even think about it the rest of the day.
Right. There's just like, well, that's what happens.
Yep.
When I hit that wrong button.
Yep. Yeah, he learned nothing from that
Yeah.
experience. I bet his manager also did not.
Right.
And I think...
If anything, the cashier might have learned, like, I need to get me one of them phones.
Right? Yeah.
It's got a fucking calculator in it.
Well, he probably has his phone. He's just not allowed to carry it with him.
Right.
Because he's at work.
He's not a manager, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I do something really dumb, like, that's pretty much all I ever think about for the rest of my life. It's just that one fucking dumb thing that I do.
Right.
And then they accumulate, so I'm just constantly always thinking about all the dumb fucking things that I've done.
Toggling on a limitless.
Yeah. Usually as I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, that sucks. Well, hopefully this guy sleeps well tonight.
Yeah.
But maybe tomorrow he types in the amount of money that is tendered, and then, And like, I honestly, I hope that at some point tomorrow, I forget how much change I owe a guy for a second. just so I don't feel like I'm falsely superior acting or something, because I don't mean to say that. Like I was just trying to prove a point that, you know, if you're a cashier and you deal with that, it seems like it would just kind of be natural at some point.
Right.
Like, you know how much change to get back.
I mean, it's we all have off days,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you've probably had that experience.
Sure.
Where
Yeah.
where
Oh,
you
yeah.
just-
We just blank for a
Right,
second.
yeah. But that seems more like more than a blank.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
a blank mind.
and especially since it was like more than one person, it was just depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's partially blame the educational system. Let's partially blame just society in general. And then there's no more hope left in this world. And you're bringing kids into it.
I know. What was I thinking?
What is wrong
I'm gonna
with you?
she's gonna be a math fucking whiz. I'm gonna drill her every day. Like, what's 100 minus 17? Not fast enough. Psh!
And then she'll just have just monkeys to teach when she is old enough,
Right.
because everyone else will not be drilling their kids. Hey, you're just gonna be a YouTube star.
Yeah. Right. I've heard that a lot. Kids. That's like one of the most popular. Because like at the school the kids go to, sometimes they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it used to be like astronaut and cop.
Sure.
Like the most popular answer that most people say is YouTube star.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's like
not a thing.
it's like, there's a few people that make a lot of money just doing YouTube videos, but yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's ridiculous enough when we were kids that we said comic book artists.
Right? Like, oh, you.
And clearly, we've seen how that worked out for
Uh,
us.
You're not rich from this?
Well, we're not making comic art.
That's true.
We're just talking about
Oh,
comic
yeah.
art.
Well, there's our problem. I was doing comic art earlier this morning. It was pretty great.
Oh, I wasn't saying I haven't done it since last week.
It'd been a few days for me, and then at like 8:30 this morning, I was listening to Pink Floyd and drawing comics. It was pretty great.
Yeah. I was at work.
Yeah.
And then later on, I helped somebody through an existential crisis.
Oh. That's always good. That's always good.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's really not great when
Oh.
your boss comes in almost crying.
Yeah. Well, hope that gets better.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I can call Batman. if you want.
Sure.
Do you think he can help?
Probably. Batman always helps.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of comic book art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I have 2 books in mind. I'm still toggling between one of them. I know you have, one I know you don't.
But again, I might surprise you.
You could surprise me. And
I
honestly,
probably won't. You
So-
know me pretty well.
so I'll pick the one that I don't think you have,
Okay.
and if you veto it, I'll pick the one that I know you have.
Okay.
So here's the reason that the only reason I think you might possibly veto it. I'll tell you this information
So I-
ahead.
Okay, so you, because you had mentioned this in our break,
Mhm.
that you had 2 in mind. One that I've never heard of.
I
That's how you called
I would bet money you've never heard of it.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
But never anything about vetoing.
Well,
So if I've never heard of it,
well,
less likely to veto.
well, I don't want to get yelled at whenever we record, so I'll tell you the reason that you if you would have been like, if I would have known this, I would have vetoed it. I'll tell you that piece of information.
Is it by a pedophile?
I mean, not that I know of.
Okay. Because I won't read a book by a pedophile.
So it is a graphic novel,
Okay.
but it is the first in a trilogy.
Okay.
So like they're not standalone stories, but they're meant to be separate pieces, but they're a trilogy of one
Okay.
thing.
Alrighty.
So I know sometimes we'll read something, and if it has like a not a clear ending, we get kind of annoyed,
Yeah.
and both of us do,
Sure.
not just you. And I've never read this, so I don't know
Okay.
exactly how clear cut each ending is,
Okay.
but I think they're all like, it's I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Alright. Well, I mean, okay, in our defense, Like our previous book was Gideon Falls,
Right.
which was volume 1.
Right.
That ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, it's not like a satisfying, bow tie ending, but it's
Right.
obviously like, oh, there's like a season break or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that's what this would be.
Let's hope.
Okay. So it is called The Disappearance of Charlie Butters
Okay.
by Zach Wharton.
Alrighty. You're right. I've never heard of this.
What do you think?
I've never heard of it, so I can't read it.
Oh, okay. Sweet. All right. So that's what we're going to rate then.
The Disappearance of Charlie Butters.
Yeah.
Is this a South Park thing?
No.
Okay, good. Then definitely not Vito.
It's a Canadian cartoon.
Oh, Vito. What's the guy's name? Zach Warden?
Zach Wharton.
Warden.
There's an H in the Zach, but no H in the Wharton.
Okay.
So W-O-R-T-O-N.
I don't approve of any of these. Alright, I guess I'll read that.
Sweet.
Alright.
All right. That's what we're doing then.
Cool.
All right.
Alright.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there and you can't make change, call Batman. He's out there. He's a block away at any moment.
It's true. Alrighty. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Gutter Trash. You can subscribe to the show from guttertrash.net or from iTunes and leave us a review. Visit guttertrash.net for email information and for other podcasts and websites in the Gutter Trash Network. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.